Peter Hancock and Jane Hancock. Peter, there is a special sadness as we say farewell to you as Bishop of Bath and Wells. The last many months have been an extraordinarily challenging and difficult time as you have wrestled with extremes of illness and as you continue to do so together. And our prayers are with both of you most emphatically. It's very good that you've managed to be online to receive our affection and our prayers, and I know the diocese is going to miss you dreadfully. Peter started his ordained life not actually that far from where he is now, in Portsmouth Diocese. And after a brief trip to Salisbury, spent a long time in Portsmouth and served in various capacities. That's the church, the cathedral choir at the palace. And he was most recently Archdeacon of the Meon. He became Bishop of Basingstoke before in 2014 he became Bishop of Bath and Wells. I'm told on the day you arrived in Wells, the removal people were still bringing in furniture and belongings. And so tea and coffee were set up in the drawing room, along with a mixture of cakes so people could help themselves. And Juno, your golden retriever at the time, ran straight into the room and devoured a huge chocolate cake, much to Jane's embarrassment. We too had Bramble at that time, who did exactly the same thing, only he only ate the candles and simply trod on the cake. You've lived in a most extraordinary place at Bath and Wells, and you had to deal with the enormous challenges, there's Juno, that came with your, when you arrived, and the need to demonstrate the viability of that as a centre for the diocese, which you've done superbly. You've served God and the Church, I wouldn't say just very well, in your pastoral care and calm consideration, but with enormous courage. You've had to put up with the providence that has led to your last year being one in which you've ministered through the example of illness. And so not in the way you would have hoped, but you've ministered with that example superbly. And so has Jane. And the love that has been demonstrated for you in the diocese and way beyond shows the way that your ministry has been appreciated. The great other burden you've borne for your time in the church has been that of safeguarding. I hardly know how to thank you for that. Earlier today, we heard from someone saying when the Archbishop of Canterbury sidles up to you. Who was it who said that? Adrian. Always say no. You hesitated too long and ended up doing safeguarding for the Church of England. You oversaw the move from the extraordinary difficulties that Paul Butler had to face and himself had faced with such courage and determination and challenged the church, and you took them through the next stage, through ICSA. We are so grateful for your work on that. I can't begin to express our gratitude. The thing I remember about that is not just your energy and commitment, but what I remember most of all is your deep pastoral care for victims and survivors, your heartfelt love for them. You had to bring in procedures and guidance notes and legislation, but what you had to do most was continually remind us of the voice of survivors and how you did that so beautifully we can't begin to describe. I don't want to go on any more than that. except to say that that wasn't only in the diocese, but up and down the length of the country. It was a heavy burden, and we bless you for bearing it. And at the same time, you gave attention and energy to the life of the diocese and built up the team around you. Your senior colleagues treasured your collegial style of leadership. Thank you for that. I pray that you and Jane will continue on the path to healing, and that you will continue in confidence in the God whom you have served and in the love that you receive from those around you, not least your wonderful family. Thank you, Peter, from me, an indescribable thank you, and from the Church of England, thank you for all you've been and all you've given.